Imagine 17 years ago, walking into a smaller, mid-sized company, landing a gig as an account executive. Then fast forward 17 years, and you were the executive vice president of sales for the #1 lender in America. Well, that is Allen Beydoun. That is United Wholesale Mortgage, and this is today's episode. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children 18 plus, you are tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast with me, Dustin Owen, and a very special guest. This episode has been 1 year in the making. He hails from Michigan. He is currently in Orlando, Florida, representing the Florida Association of Mortgage Professionals, representing his company, the #1 lender in America, UWM. He is my friend, Allen Beydoun. Allen, welcome to TLOP.
Thank you so much for having me, Dustin. I really appreciate it. Excited to be on this podcast today.
Dude, I am so stoked. It's rare that the #1 podcast in the mortgage space gets to hang out with the #1 lender. You would have thought it would have happened sooner than today.
I agree.
But FAMP brought us together.
Yep.
We're in Orlando. The Florida Association of Mortgage Professionals is hosting the greatest, what do they call it? The greatest show, the greatest mortgage show on earth.
Yes.
600, 800 plus of us traveling in from all over the country, not just in Florida. And you spoke earlier today.
Yeah.
You have an entire team here representing UWM. And today, here's what I want to do.
Yep.
On this episode, we have about 20, 25 minutes to introduce our audience to you, because you have an incredible story that is going to be motivation for so many younger professionals who represent the future of the mortgage industry. And obviously UWM has an incredible story that there are business owners and brokers out there that aspire to be the next Matt Ishbia. Okay. And along the way, I'm going to have questions just about what did you learn and what did you all do and how can more of us be like you? And we'll educate, we'll entertain. At the end, if you have any type of contact information you want to pump out, people get to follow you guys or learn more about UWM, which honestly, if you have to learn more about UWM, you may be just getting started in the industry or you've been living underneath a rock. I can't imagine anywhere in the middle actually exists. But where do you want to start? Let's start with this. You're a father of 3 and you're from Michigan.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. How did you break into the mortgage industry?
You know, it's funny. I was a branch manager at a small bank in southeastern Michigan. Bank at the time was called Michigan National Bank, and we had a JV relationship with an outside mortgage lender. And you know, every month my branch or I would refer some people over to this JV relationship, and they would do the mortgage for the client, and it'd be our client, the bank client. And you know, my branch would earn like a fee income. It's like $150 a deal or something if the deal closes, or $200 a deal. And one month we had like 12 referrals over and like 10 of them closed, and my branch made like $2,000, showed up on our P&L, and I was so excited. I'm like, wow, we had a record-breaking month with mortgages. And I went over to the LO and I said, man, listen, my branch did really good. We helped a lot of homeowners get, either save on their monthly payment or get into their dream home. What a great feeling that was. And, we helped 10 people this month. And I said, well, my branch made $2,000, which is great. If you don't mind me asking, what'd you make?
Oh, you opened Pandora's box.
Yeah,
okay. What was that answer back then?
The answer was in the thousands.
Yeah. Like you were excited that your branch made $2,000. This dude probably made like $20,000.
Yeah, but I was excited that more of the fact that, when those clients came back into the bank, they were so thankful for us, like referring them and helping them throughout their mortgage process. It wasn't just about the $2,000 my bank was earning. Mm-hmm. And then when I talked to the LO, it was more about how much money he made.
Okay.
Not about what his fulfillment was,
yes.
Right? I guess the best way to give, self-fulfillment is by serving others and helping others. And I said, man, this guy just really doesn't get it, and that's sort of how I started my journey in the mortgage industry. I worked on the retail side, went to the broker side, and ended up at UWM by sheer luck, really.
I was going to say sheer luck. I mean, most of our lives happen by, I say happenstance, but they're really not. I mean, you put yourself in a certain room with certain people, and you were probably head on a swivel like your boys do playing football, but your head was on a swivel searching for opportunity.
Yeah.
And one thing led to another. So 17 years ago puts us back to, it was like 2007?
2007.
So
April 2007.
So right kind of during
Yeah.
the melee of the
bad
meltdown.
times, yeah, the bad times.
Yeah, but what a great time to
Yeah.
grow a company, and what a great time to get started. So you started after working, so obviously you parlay from a branch manager to a retail, probably bank LO.
Originator, yep.
Yep, then you left that to go be a broker.
Yep.
And then from the broker world, you were introduced to, hey, look, you can continue to support homeownership doing the loans, or you can support homeownership by supporting the brokers who then do the loans.
100%.
And was United Wholesale, was that your first career where you were an AE?
That was my first career as an AE, and I want to say lucky landing at UWM, because I believe I've had the best mentor in the mortgage industry. Obviously, Matt Ishbia, younger than me, so I learned a lot from somebody who's younger than me, and I was able to implement the things that he does on a daily basis, and just skyrocketed my career with him.
Out of curiosity, was that ever difficult, learning from someone that was technically your junior?
Matt always took the time to make sure that not only myself, but others along who started with me 17, 18 years ago, always took the time to make sure that we understood what we're doing it, why we're doing it, how we're going to do it, and how we're going to help mortgage brokers become successful even in a down market.
So what number employee were you, out of curiosity, if
say
you were to guess?
If I were to guess, maybe 20 or 21.
Wow. And then maybe you know the number because you're a publicly traded and you probably have to know these, you know your kids' birthdays.
Yeah.
How many employees today?
I think we're right around 8,000, maybe 8,200.
Wow.
And we're all located in Pontiac, Michigan. And, last year we had close to 25,000, 30,000 mortgage brokers come out to UWM throughout the year, visit our 1.5 million square foot facility. We help them with things of growing their business and success track and all that good stuff. But yeah, it's been great.
That's kind of been the key to y'all's success, right?
Yeah.
I love the fact that you do that. And I think it's very unique that you have this campus and that you're able to create enough talent in Pontiac, Michigan to have these campuses where all of the employees are physically in that geographic area.
Yeah.
But then on top of it, bringing out 25, 30,000 originators throughout the country and investing in them. Not just investing with your technology, but investing in them in terms of training and coaching. I have, throughout my career, run mortgage companies, onboard branches, coach branch managers, area managers, and this is where we're so aligned. I usually will start on an exercise, especially with a newer branch manager, and I'll say, okay, what do you do for a living?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you do living? The answer typically by them is, I do mortgages for a living. I said, no, you don't. Said, what you do for a living is you actually run a marketing company.
Yeah.
And then the second thing you do is you run a coaching company. The third thing that you do are mortgages, right? But you first have to be able to market your services. You have to be able to coach internally and externally your staff, your clients, your referral sources. Oh, and then by the way, your product happens to be structured financing to help people achieve real estate. But even doing mortgages, nobody wants mortgages. In fact, we dream about what? Paying off our mortgage.
Paying off our mortgage.
Yeah. So 17 years ago, employee number 20. Looking back, obviously, tons of success. I bet tons of fun. But I think also tons of failing forward.
There was a lot of that. But, the two things that we've always preached and the things that Matt has always preached throughout the whole organization, you're going to have more good days than bad. And as long as you have small wins, that little inch that you gain every single day will eventually lead up to big wins, right? So two things matter at UWM. And I think two things matter with mortgage brokers, whether it's a originator or a processor or somebody who's opening up a new company. The two most important things that we look for is if you have a positive attitude and a very strong work ethic. Listen, loans are going to go sideways. You're not going to hit your contract date. And you just got to have a positive attitude and think about, okay, how can I learn from this? So it doesn't happen the next time. And then, just have a strong work ethic. And a lot of times we forget that what we're doing isn't just, for us to get the next deal. We're putting somebody in a home. We're helping them save money every single month. Their family is growing through this household. look at the positive at what we do. Don't just look at the bottom line. We've always looked at it like, we don't care how much money you make on this deal. Look at what you've done to help these people get into this home.
Well, there's so much to unpack there. And I love what you said. I do a lot of coaching and teaching throughout the country. And I try to explain this industry to people who are interested in it, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, first and foremost, and people should probably understand, this is coming from, I grew up very lower middle class, great family, great neighborhood, wouldn't trade it for the world. Mom drove a school bus, dad's an electrician, right? Like when I think Michigan, I think, oh, that's my neighborhood, although I grew up in Central Florida.
Yeah.
And when I try to explain the mortgage industry to people, I'm like, look, it is a white collar profession for blue collar people,
yes.
Meaning our clients are blue collar. Mm-hmm. Our clients are hardworking, everyday Americans,
yes.
But it is finance. It is personal finance. This is their largest purchase. So we have to take a white collar approach, but it requires blue collar work ethic out of us.
Yes.
So we're blue collar workers who are supporting blue collar workers, but we're dipping our toes into a little bit of a white collar field.
Yeah.
So I love that you said that about, hey, look, it takes a good attitude and it takes hard work, because to me that sings to middle America, and it preaches very much those blue collar ethics. Yeah. Looking back the past 17 years, what's one big lesson? Like now that you've lived it, because like normally when we're living things, we're not as cognizant of them going around, but we get to a certain milestone and we can look back and we're like, oh my gosh, now that I've lived this, I can write a chapter in a book about it. What's something that stands out to you about the UWM journey? Or it could be the Allen Beydoun journey.
For 17 years of my life, all I've known is United Wholesale Mortgage and my team members, obviously our brokers across the country, thousands of brokers across the country, just becoming number one overall lender. And that journey, it wasn't easy. So there was a lot of hard work that went into it. And when you sit back and you realize, now that we're number one, how do you stay number one? And how do you still become widen the gap? Obviously you want to stay number one, but then how do you widen the gap? But then how do you come out with more or new technology or products and services that our brokers need to stay competitive in a changing environment? So for me, a lot of our best practices comes from our account executives, our team members, our mortgage brokers, our partners, our processors inside the mortgage companies. And the biggest fulfillment for me was we didn't do it alone. Becoming number one wasn't just UWM, but it was our mortgage brokers, our partners that relied on us every single day to give them the ultimate loan experience, give them ultimate client experience, give them the best technology and the best products to go out there and succeed. And that's like the biggest thing for me.
Was there a particular shift, whether it's a market shift or was it a shift in culture or attitude that you can look back and say, that was a pivotal moment?
I think the most pivotal moment of my time at UWM was probably right around 2009. I think we had like our best year ever. So the company's been around since 1986.
Yeah, because it started with Matt Ishbia's dad,
yeah,
right?
So Matt
Shore Mortgage.
Shore Mortgage.
Okay.
We're a small southeastern Michigan correspondent lender. But Matt Ishbia's dad never worked a day in his life at United Wholesale Mortgage, is a lawyer by trade.
Okay.
And he decided to open up this little mortgage company. And, the pivotal shift, not only just 2009, but, when the crash happened, Matt Ishbia and his dad, not like they had a crystal ball, but they stayed away from, the no income, no asset loans, the ninja loans. They couldn't put their heads down, to sleep at night, knowing that they were going to put somebody in a program that 2 years from now that they're not going to be able to afford. So, we were mainly an FHA lender, manufactured home lender, FHA manufactured home lender at the time when I started. And so when all these lenders started going out of business because everything failed.
Yep, toxic loan programs.
Right, toxic loan program. We didn't have any of that. So that was like a pivotal moment where I knew I was working for people that were not only my bosses, but I was working for people that cared.
Yeah.
And when you care, Dustin, you're bound to do great things for other people.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, it is like showing up with intentionality and being
Yeah.
a good human.
Yeah.
It's funny thinking about back at '09, we used to call those, if you remember, legacy issues.
Yeah.
And you stayed away from the companies who had legacy issues.
Yeah.
And if you were out interviewing and you were any good at what you did, you would say, hey, can you walk me through your legacy issues? And a legacy issue would be, yeah, in 2006, we originated $500 million of negative amortization loans.
Yeah.
And then the right person like, ooh, okay, best of luck to you
Yeah,
going
best of luck.
forward. I'm going to go interview
Yeah.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
So let's switch gears. We talked a lot about the past. Let's talk about the future. Where do you see, not necessarily United Wholesale, but just the mortgage industry in general? Where do you think we're heading 3, 5, 7 years from now? What does 2030 look like in your lens?
Yeah, I mean, I think brokers will continue to take market share. I think the second quarter of this year might have been the first quarter, 24 or 25% of loans that were originated for mortgages, brokers did 24 or 25% of them, which is the highest share in years.
Yeah.
And we've seen a shift of retail LOs leaving, their retail companies because, they have a box that they have to stay inside that box. They don't have options. And mortgage brokers have options. If UWM can't do the deal, great. There's another lender that might be able to do the deal. Or this lender doesn't have a good process, or this lender doesn't have good technology. Great, UWM has a great process, great technology. So I see that shift happening. I get to see it every single day. I talk to a lot of retail originators that are looking to make the move to the broker side, and the momentum's definitely there.
Yeah. What about with technology? I mean, you guys are almost a tech company yourself.
Listen,
but like AI and automation.
Yeah, we're definitely on the forefront of that. Just be an early adopter. Obviously with Chat UWM, which is a great tool. When I think about Chat UWM, I think about the smartest human being in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But we've had AI or technology, from day one. That's what Matt really focused on, and our executive team focused on, is how do we deliver the best process by giving our brokers the best technology? Because we have one singular focus. We don't have a retail team. We don't have a retention team. Our singular focus is mortgage brokers. So we have to be able to deliver the best technology. We have to be able to deliver the best process. And Jason Bressler, our chief technology officer, has always been on the forefront of delivering the best technology out there. And I truly believe it is.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you said early adopter.
Yeah.
Because so you keynoted today, and my keynote's tomorrow. And in my presentation, which is becoming the next gen originator.
Yeah.
So much of what we do at TLOP, if for those that are tuning in, because you're like, well, I don't know TLOP, but I know Allen, so I wanted to check this out. Like, we do two things. We teach the shit they don't teach in school. And yes, I said shit, not going to hide from that. And we also are shaping the future of the mortgage industry, right? Teaching the ish they don't teach in school. That is what a great mortgage broker, what a great MLO, what a great, whatever you want to call that person, because we all have 1,000 different titles for the same role in this industry. That's what they should do for their clients. Mm-hmm. They should teach them budgeting. They should teach them, how to qualify for not just any home loan, but the right loan, and the power of real estate, right? That should be taught. And we didn't learn it in school. But at the same time, we shape the future of the mortgage industry. So in my keynote tomorrow, becoming the next gen originator, I literally talk about technology. Mm-hmm. I'm like early adopter.
Yeah.
Fast follower, early adopter, do not turn a blind eye to this, because the last thing I want to do, I don't want to be the guy or girl starting a YouTube channel in 2020 or 2025. I wish I was the guy or girl who started my YouTube channel in 2010.
Right.
Because that would have been an early adopter, and I'd be crushing it right now in the media game and crushing the content game. I think we're doing well, but I still feel like I'm playing catch up because I wasn't an early adopter. Yeah. All right, so let's do this. You travel the country. Yeah. You're speaking to originators throughout. You're motivating them. You're coaching them. You're teaching them. Give us some highlights from today's presentation, a little bit of a teaser for why, if you haven't had a chance to see Allen speak, you'd want to figure out where he's speaking next so you can come listen to him.
Yeah, the one thing I like to be relatable.
Okay.
Because I was, and I was an originator. I know what mortgage brokers have gone, what have gone through and what are going through. I like to share our best practices. I also like to make sure that they understand that, talking about early adoption or talking about products and technology, there's things that simply just won't change 5 years from now. Your costs, right? So you can control your costs. Products, you're going to have the products out there, and your client service. Like, those are the things I like to focus on, because whether it's today or 5 years from now, providing elite client service isn't going to change. Like, you have to make sure AI isn't going to replace you. AI is going to enhance you and make you better.
Yeah.
But you got to be able to control your costs. You got to be able to give great client service, and just be somebody who soaks in information. Come out and take advantage of our success track classes at UWM. We don't charge you anything to come out there. We'll pay for your hotel stay. We'll pay for your airfare. Take 2 days out of the month to come out and visit us and get better. Share your best practices with different brokers throughout the mortgage country. And that's what we allow you to do. And I truly believe that, my presentations or what UWM does is all to benefit the mortgage brokers and their consumers, because their consumers are going to look at, my God, I just did my biggest financial transaction that I'm going to do in my life, and that I have a good experience, that I have good technology, and was my originator knowledgeable?
Yeah, were they an advisor? Was I talking with an advisor who, again, not just helped me purchase a home and get into a loan, but the right loan?
Yes.
And I knew why that was the right loan.
Yeah.
No, I totally dig that. I teach and coach and preach, and maybe I should come up to the 2-day event and be a fly on the wall.
Yeah,
or hey, maybe one day an instructor. You never know.
You never know.
But crazier things have happened, Alan. Crazier things have happened. No, but what I was going to leave us with, and kind of use this as maybe a way to wrap up today's show, is I have found that in business, and I'm sure you have found it as well, like success, there's patterns to it. Like, follow the patterns. Kobe probably learned a little bit from Michael Jordan. Yeah. Michael Jordan probably learned something from this guy called Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson probably learned something from Julius Erving, right? Dr. J. Yeah. But success follows patterns. Follow those patterns. Success also leaves footprints.
Yes.
So follow those footprints, study the patterns. And it sounds like what you just said, hey, look, if you come to one of Alan's keynotes, he's probably not going to be teaching you anything that's going to blow your mind, because success is as simple as doing what works. He's just going to encourage you to do more of what works.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Alan, if people want to get a hold of you, they want to follow you, are you a LinkedIn guy? Are you an IG guy? Are you dancing on the TikTok? Like, where do we find you?
No, you can find me on LinkedIn at Allen Beydoun, United Wholesale Mortgage. You can find me at Instagram, Allen Beydoun at United Wholesale Mortgage. My email address, you can email me at any time. I can be reached at abeydoun, Beydoun, at uwm.com.
Beautiful. Alan, thank you so much for taking the time. I'm happy FAMP reconnected us. It's been a year.
Yeah.
Shout out to Rosegate Mortgage, because that was the last time Alan and I did actually an event together.
Yes, we did.
Was in Charlotte, North Carolina, representing our boys with Rosegate Mortgage.
Yeah.
But he's Allen Beydoun. I'm Dustin Owen. You have just tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast. That is all the time we have for you today, but we do look forward to catching you on the next episode.